learning outcomes. After studying this module, we shall be able to number 1, know the concept of dispersion. Number 2, understand the objectives or measures of dispersion. Number 3, identify the different measures of dispersion. And number 4, learn how to compute different measures of dispersion. Introduction. The measures under tendency are inadequate to describe the distribution completely. These give us the idea about the concentration of the observations in the central part of the distribution. In a distribution whose averages are same but different from each other, we cannot form a complete idea about the distribution. If we want to form a somehow complete idea about any given distribution, we need a further description of the series which depicts the scatteredness of the distribution. Literally, dispersion means scatteredness. It refers to the variety of distribution exhibits. Dispersion gives us an idea of the homogeneity implying compactness or heterogeneity implying scatteredness. In the words of Spiegel, dispersion is, quote, the degree to which numerical data tend to spread about an average value, unquote.
Now, before learning the computation of measures of dispersion, it is important to know the objectives and significance of these measures. The objectives of these measures can be summarized as, or one can say that dispersion measures help to find out the reliability, to control the variation of data from the central value, to compare two or more set of data with respect to their uniformity, to obtain inputs for further analysis of data such as correlation, regression analysis, estimation, hypothesis testing, etc. The various measures of dispersion are as follows: range, quartile deviation, mean deviation, standard deviation and variance, and coefficient of variation. We will take up each one of them in detail, starting with range. Range is the simplest of all the measures of dispersion. Range can be defined as the difference between the extreme values or observations of any given distribution. So mathematically, we can write range as R equal to XL minus XS, where XL refers to the largest observation and XS refers to the smallest value or smallest observation. In case of grouped frequency distribution, range for a given distribution can be defined as the difference between the upper limit of the highest class and the lower limit of the smallest class. The relative measure of range is coefficient of range, and the same can be found out by using the formula coefficient of range is equal to XL minus XS in numerator upon XL plus XS in denominator. Now, range is independent of change of origin but not of scale. Let us consider an example where we have the data of number of suicides committed by self-strangulation in 60 cities in a particular year. This is something that you can see in the table. Now, using this, we can calculate the range of these suicides committed by strangulation. So, range becomes XL minus XS. If you look at the data, the highest value or the largest value is 59 and the smallest value is 21. So, range comes out to be 38. Now, second measure technique is quartile deviation. Before understanding the computation of quartile deviation, we must first know what are percentiles and quartiles. A percentile is a measure at which that percentage of the total values are the same as or below that measure. For example, 90% of data values lie below 90th percentile, or we can say 10% of data values lie below 10th percentile. Similarly, for any given set of n observations, the percentile p is the value of observation x such that p percentage or less of the observations are less than p. And quartiles are the values that divide the given data into 4 parts containing an approximately equal number of observations. So, the total of 100% is split into 4 equal parts, that is 25%, 50%, 75%. So, in particular, we can say that 25th percentile is equals to first quartile, that is Q1, 50th percentile is equal to second quartile, and so on. Now, quartile deviation, that is QD, is obtained from interquartile range IQR on division by 2. So, quartile deviation becomes Q3 minus Q1 upon 2, where Q1 is equals to L plus H by F. Within brackets, we have capital N by 4 minus capital C. Similarly, we have Q3 as L plus H by F within brackets 3 capital N upon 4 minus capital C, where L refers to the lower limit, F refers to the frequency, H refers to the common difference of the class containing the quartile Q1 or Q3, C is the cumulative frequency of the class preceding the class containing the quartile Q1 or Q3, and capital N is summation frequency. Let us now see how can we use this data. If we have the following data given to us, class and frequency, and using this we calculate cumulative frequency as shown in the table. Very firstly, we find that the total value of capital N, that is summation frequency, comes out to be 60. So we can divide this 60 by 4, which gives a value of 15, and hence cumulative frequency just greater than 15 is 23, as can be seen from the table, which lies in the class range 29.5 to 39.5. Using this, we can calculate Q1 and Q3. Q1 comes out to be 32.83, as can be seen, where L is equals to 29.5, the lower limit of that class. H is 10. F comes out to be 12, as can be seen from the table. And capital N is 60, as we have seen. And finally, C, that is the cumulative frequency of the class preceding the class containing the quartile, is 11. So with this, we get Q1 as 32.83. And similarly, Q3 is calculated as 49.5, which is the lower limit corresponding to its class, plus 10 upon 24 into, within brackets we have 3 into 60 upon 4 minus 36. So this gives us a value for Q3 as 53.25. Now using this data, we calculate IQR, that is the interquartile range, which is taken as the difference Q3 minus Q1. That is 53.25 minus 32.83, giving a value of 20.42. And using this, we then calculate quartile deviation, which is nothing but IQR divided by 2. So we have 20.42 divided by 2, giving a value of 10.21. We can also calculate coefficient of quartile deviation the way we did for range. Over here, we take this as Q3 minus Q1 upon Q3 plus Q1. So we have 53.25 minus 32.83 in numerator upon 53.25 plus 32.83 in denominator. This gives us a value of 0.237. A large interquartile range implies a large variability among the middle 50% of the data and vice versa. However, due to vagueness of such statements, it is advisable to compare the interquartile range with the range for the entire given data, such that the comparison tells us what percentage the interquartile range is of the overall range. Now let us come to the third measure, that is the mean deviation or average deviation. Both range and quartile deviation ignore the scatter of the observations from the average. Mean deviation overcomes this drawback. Mean deviation is the mean of the deviations from either the mean or the median without considering the plus or minus sign. That is, it takes into account the absolute value. It is the average of the scatter of the observations in a distribution from the mean or median. So we can compute mean deviation about an average, let's say A, as 1 upon n summation absolute value x minus a, where n refers to the size of the sample, x is the observation and a refers to the average value. This x minus a can be written as d, that is the deviation. So, mean deviation becomes 1 upon n summation absolute d. Modulus value of deviation is taken because we are ignoring the plus and negative signs, and the average value a can be any one of the averages, that is mean, mode or median. In case of frequency distribution or a grouped distribution, the mean deviation can be calculated using the formula mean deviation about an average a is equal to 1 upon capital N summation f into modulus x minus a, or we can also write this as 1 upon capital N summation f into modulus d, where f is the corresponding frequency and capital N, as stated earlier, is equal to summation f, that is summation frequency. The sum of deviations will be minimum when taken from the median. That is, mean deviation calculated about median will be less than mean deviation calculated about mean or mode. Theoretically, mean deviation gives the best result when it is calculated about median, but median is not a satisfactory measure when the distribution has greater variations. Also, it cannot be computed for distributions with open-end classes and is rarely used in sociological studies. With this, now let us come to the next measure, that is standard deviation. This method of dispersion was given by Karl Pearson and is usually denoted by the letter sigma, as can be seen. It defines the variation or dispersion from the average. It can be defined as the positive square root of the arithmetic mean of the squares of the deviation of the given observation from their arithmetic mean. Or simply, one can write standard deviation as sigma is equals to square under root 1 upon n summation x minus x bar whole square, where x bar is the arithmetic mean and is taken as 1 upon n summation x, where x refers to a particular observation. And in the case of frequency distribution, it is given by sigma is equal to square root 1 upon capital N summation frequency into x minus x bar whole square. Over here, the arithmetic mean x bar is taken as 1 upon capital N summation f into x, and n is taken as summation of frequency, that is summation f. A low standard deviation indicates that the data points tend to be very close to the mean and that the distribution is homogeneous, and a high standard deviation indicates that the data points are spread out over a large range of values and that the distribution is heterogeneous. Now let us look at the mathematical properties of standard deviation. Standard deviation is independent of change of scale but not of origin. Standard deviation is always less than equal to range. And there is an empirical rule which says that 68% of the observations lie in the range x bar plus minus 1 into sigma. 95% of the observations lie in the range x bar plus minus 2 into sigma. And 99% of the observations lie in the range x bar plus minus 3 into sigma. Also, quartile deviation, mean deviation and standard deviation are related to each other in the ratio 10:12:15. Now let us talk about variance. Variance is the square of standard deviation and is given by the expression sigma square is equal to 1 upon capital N summation f into x minus x bar whole square. Now, if the sample points change in scale by a factor of c, the variance changes by a factor of c square and standard deviation changes by a factor of c. This relationship is the main reason why standard deviation is more often used than variance as a measure of spread. Now let us consider an example. A study was conducted to analyze certain basic pharmacokinetic parameters in women who were treated with a triphasic oral contraceptive. The weights of the 10 women are shown in the table. Now, using this data, we find that mean, that is x bar, is taken as summation x upon n, where n is 10, that is the sample size, and summation x comes out to be 600. So with this, we get mean as 60. Now let us calculate the deviation, that is x minus x bar. We have x bar as 60. So mean deviation is calculated as summation d, that is summation x minus x bar upon n. Summation d comes out to be 42, or more rightly, summation modulus d comes out to be 42. So with this, we get mean deviation as 42 upon 10, which gives a value of 4.2. Now with this, we then calculate standard deviation sigma, which involves squaring of deviation, that is x minus x bar whole square. Now squaring x minus x bar and adding all the values gives us the total value as 286. Now using this total value in the standard deviation formula, we get standard deviation as sigma is equals to square root 1 upon n summation x minus x bar whole square. Substituting the relevant values, we get standard deviation value as 5.347. Now, another important measure of dispersion is coefficient of variation. Let us consider a case where we need to measure the standard deviations of the heights of the age group 5 to 10 years with the college-going students. We may find that the former standard deviation is smaller than the latter standard deviation numerically, not because the dispersion is smaller, but because the heights themselves are smaller. Standard deviation, being dependent upon the units of measurement, is only an absolute measure of dispersion, whereas coefficient of variation is a relative measure of dispersion and expresses the standard deviation as a percentage of mean. This measure remains the same regardless of what units are used, because if the units change by a factor of c, then both the mean and standard deviation change by a factor of c. However, coefficient of variance, which is the ratio between them, remains unchanged. The coefficient of variance is most useful in comparing the variability of several different samples, each with different arithmetic means. This is because a higher variability is usually expected when the mean increases, and the coefficient of variance is a measure that accounts for this variability. So, we can express coefficient of variance as sigma upon x bar into 100, that is standard deviation upon arithmetic mean into 100. Now let us suppose two samples of persons with the following data. Sample 1 age 35 years, sample 2 age 15 years. Sample 1 mean weight 78 kgs, sample 2 mean weight 50 kgs. Sample 1 standard deviation 10 kg and sample 2 standard deviation 10 kg. Let us find out which is more variable between the two, the weight of 35 years old or the weight of 15 years old. In this example, if we consider the standard deviation to find out the variability, it might be concluded that both the samples have equal variability. However, our results are entirely different when we use coefficient of variance as the measure of dispersion, as can be seen. For sample 1, coefficient of variance comes out to be 12.82, and for sample 2, coefficient of variation comes out to be 20. This coefficient of variance is also useful in comparing the results of two or more different investigations concerning the same variable. Also, being independent of the scale of measurement, it can prove to be a handy statistical technique for comparing the variability in two or more variables measured on different scales. With this, now let us come to the next measure of dispersion, that is skewness. Measures of central tendency and variability do not reveal the entire story. As we have seen, there are two other comparable characteristics called skewness and kurtosis that help us understand a distribution. Two distributions may have the same mean and standard deviation, but may differ widely in their overall appearance, as can be seen from the following diagram. In both these distributions, the value of mean and standard deviation is the same. That is, we get mean as 15 and standard deviation as 5. But it does not imply that the distributions are alike in nature. the distribution on the left hand side is a symmetrical one, whereas the distribution on the right hand side is asymmetrical or skewed. Measures of skewness help us to distinguish between different types of distributions. Skewness is a term which refers to lack of symmetry. That is, when a distribution is not symmetrical, it is called a skewed distribution. Any measure of skewness indicates the difference between the manners in which items are distributed in a particular distribution compared with a symmetrical distribution. If, for example, skewness is positive, the frequencies in the distribution are spread out over a greater range of values on the high value end of the curve that they are on the low value end. If the curve is normal, spread will be the same on both sides of the central point, and the mean, median, and mode will have the same value. Distribution can be divided into two categories: symmetrical and asymmetrical. A symmetrical distribution, as is clear from the diagram, is the one in which the values of mean, median, and mode coincide, and the spread of the frequencies is the same on both sides of the center point of the curve. Whereas, when we talk of asymmetrical distribution, it is a distribution which is not symmetrical, or we can say it is a skewed distribution, and such distributions could either be positively skewed or negatively skewed. Let us look at the positively skewed distribution first. In positively skewed distribution, the value of the mean is maximum and that of the mode is least, whereas median lies in between the two. Now, the other is negatively skewed distribution. In negatively skewed distribution, the value of mode is maximum and that of the mean is least, and median lies in between the two. In the positively skewed distribution, the frequencies are spread out over a greater range of values on the high value end of the curve than they are on the low value end. In negatively skewed distribution, the position is reversed, that is, the axis tail is on the left hand side. It should be noted that in moderately symmetrical distributions, the interval between the mean and the median is approximately 1/3 of the interval between the mean and mode. It is this relationship which provides a means of measuring the degree of skewness. Now, over here, after discussing skewness, it becomes important to differentiate dispersion and skewness. Dispersion is concerned with the amount of variation rather than with its direction, and skewness tells us about the direction of variation or the departure from symmetry. In fact, measures of skewness are dependent upon the amount of dispersion. One can test for skewness in the following manner. In order to ascertain whether a distribution is skewed or not, the following tests may be applied. Skewness is present if the value of mean, median, and mode do not coincide. When the data is plotted on a graph, they do not give the normal bell-shaped form. That is, when cut along a vertical line through the center, the two halves are not equal. The sum of positive deviations from the median is not equal to the sum of negative deviations. Quartiles are not equidistant from the median, and frequencies are not equally distributed at points of equal deviation from the mode. And when skewness is absent, that is, in case of symmetrical distribution, the following conditions are satisfied. The values of mean, median, and mode coincide. Data when plotted on a graph gives normal bell-shaped form. Sum of positive deviations from the median is equal to the sum of negative deviations. Quartiles are equidistant from the median, and frequencies are equally distributed at points of equal deviations from the mode. Now, another measure is kurtosis. In Greek, kurtosis means bulginess. In statistics, however, kurtosis refer to the degree of flatness or peakedness in the region about the mode of a frequency curve. The degree of kurtosis of a distribution is measured relative to the peakedness of the normal curve. In other words, measures of kurtosis tell us the extent to which a distribution is more peaked or flat-topped than the normal curve. If a curve is more peaked than the normal curve, it is called leptokurtic. In such a case, items are more closely bunched around the mode. On the other hand, if the curve is more flat-topped than the normal curve, it is called platkurtic. The normal curve in itself is known as mesokurtic. The condition of peakedness or flat-toppedness itself is known as kurtosis of axis. The concept of kurtosis is rarely used in elementary statistical analysis. Further, one can see from the diagram that these curves corresponding to three different conditions differ widely with respect to convexity, an attribute which Karl Pearson referred to as kurtosis. A leptokurtic curve has a narrower central portion and higher tails than does the normal curve, whereas platkurtic has a broader central and lower tails. With this, now let us talk about the applications of these in forensic science. For comparison of two techniques used for analysis of the same substance, measures of dispersions are useful. Arithmetic mean and standard deviation pair is used for summarizing the central tendency and dispersion of the data that is symmetric, whereas median and range estimated standard deviation is usually reported for non-symmetric and small dataset. It plays a role with forensic analysis of many kinds of physical evidences such as hair, paints, fibers, glasses, etc., and even alcohol content in a blood sample.
Summary. Dispersion is the degree to which numerical data tend to spread about an average value. Measures of dispersion are range, quartile deviation, mean deviation, standard deviation and variance, coefficient of variation. Range can be defined as the difference between the extreme values or observations of any given distribution. R equal to x2 minus x5, R equal to xl minus xs. Quartiles are the values that divide the given data into four parts. Quartile deviation is obtained from interquartile range on dividing by 2, that is quartile deviation equal to Q3 minus Q1 divided by 2. MD is the mean of the deviations from either the mean or the median without considering the plus oblique minus sign. It is the average of the scattered of the observations in a distribution from the mean or median. It can be computed by using the following formula. MD about an average A equal to 1 by n sigma modulus x minus A. Standard deviation defines the variation or dispersion from the average. It can be defined as the positive square root of the arithmetic mean of the squares of the deviations of the given observations from their arithmetic mean. Sigma equal to under root 1 by n sigma f into x minus x bar square. Variation is the square of the standard deviation and is given by sigma square equal to 1 by n summation f into x minus x bar square. Coefficient of variation, that is CV, is a relative measure of dispersion and expresses the standard deviation as a percentage of mean, that is CB equal to sigma upon x. The mean and standard deviation are the most widely used measures of location and spread. One of the main reasons for data is that the normal or well-shaped distribution is defined explicitly in terms of these two parameters, and this distribution has wide applicability in many biological and medical settings.